Hello, good evening, everybody. That's broken. There we go. How are we? How's everyone doing? Friday evening. First things first, I hope everyone has survived the week. That's the first thing. Second thing is this is your international football alternative. So if you're not interested in international football, we can have a chat. I am going to do the normal stuff with the live streams. So just to bring everyone up to speed on what's going on. Daily news stuff will continue as normal going forward. And then what I'm going to try and do is on a Friday, I'm going to try and get the bits of news that wasn't that big of a deal at the time or just didn't have time to get into the news during the week. Cover that at the end of the week and kind of the lesser stories that we didn't really talk about during the week. So in case anything slips through there. The Friday stuff will be done as a live stream. So if you're not into live stream stuff, I will show chat. I will talk to chat. There was a guy last week who had a massive problem with me referencing chat. So that guy's not in the channel anymore. So yeah, if you are in the chat, I am going to say hello to a couple of people. Then I'm going to dive into the stories. Then we're going to go back to chat. Then we're going to dive into some more stories. And then we're going to go back to chat again. We'll go back and forth. As I always say, if I don't get to everyone's comments, I apologize, but I'll try and get as many on the screen as I can. I will do rapid fire hellos. So, Vendrick, the anticipation, you've been in a while. The disabled team, good evening, guys. How are we doing? Hope you're all well over there. Good channel. Check it out. Anthony Callery, hello. Anthony, Allison, hello. Stephen, hello. Chats in the chats. Great to see. Danny. Shenyo, hello. Mike, how we doing? This is my break from Irish football. Mike, I can't watch the Irish international team. I can't. Dan James just got Leeds United's Dan James. Leeds United's Dan James. Glenn is here. Hello, Glenn. Dave is here. Crisis. I'm hearing players. All I'm hearing is players leaving and no one coming in. But we spent about 2 months of stories that Leeds were bringing in, and then nobody believed that anybody was coming into Leeds. So now we're doing stories with players that are leaving Leeds because that's more likely, and still no one's left Leeds, and still no one's come in. So it's all just rumor. That's all it is, just stories and rumors. I wouldn't believe anything. I do want to talk about something at some point, though. Sai, how are you doing, mate? We'll get to that in a sec. Mike, good evening. Steve, good evening. OKBJ, hello. Jake Carter is new here. I know it's true. I am a wrestling fan. I am a big wrestling fan. I am. Scully, good evening. L. James. Loves. Enzo's here. Rob is here. As already said, Danny. Clive is here. Hello, Clive. Andy. Already done this. This is getting confusing. There's too many chats. John, good evening. Robert. Can't hear me. Can anybody hear me? It doesn't seem very well said they can't hear me. If you can hear me, let me know in chat. There's loads of you here. There's 205. Just saying hello to everybody. Luke is there. Hello, Luke. Evie, good evening, Evie. John, hello. Michael, hello. Robert, hello. Hello. Con, hello. How are you doing, man? There's loads. Can't get to it. Everyone can hear me fine. That's great. So it's not a me issue. I get a lot of these comments, and it always makes me massively paranoid. I put a video up, and within the first 20 seconds of the video up, someone's left a comment saying no audio, and it's just because I haven't spoken for 2.5 seconds. So, yeah. We have had our audio issues in the past. Right, let's get into this. Let's stop faffing around. Let's talk about some news. We won't keep you long. It's not going to be a long stream. We'll take as long as we need to. Should also be said, by the way, said in the news today, but in case anyone hasn't, rest in peace to Gordon McQueen. Great shout out there from Michael Brown as well. Yeah, so another Leeds legend, unfortunately, no longer with us. And what a player. What a player. Could do it a couple of him now. Let's talk about the first thing I want to share with you guys. And I want to get people's opinion and take on this. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. Get rid of this. Full screen mode. Thank you very much. And what we're going to do is say goodbye to somebody, because this has happened this evening. And I think we should acknowledge that it has happened. And we should, in fact, say goodbye. If I can get the window to open, which I will now in 2 seconds. Professional stuff here, folks. Professional stuff. There we go. That window, that button. There we go. There we go. Dying to know what everyone thinks about this. So this was the first bit of news that came out today that we didn't cover. It came out after the stream the video had gone up for the day. And there's a bit of context to this, because this was the initial tweet that Radrizzani tweeted out. This was the third tweet. His initial one about Leeds, but his third tweet. His first tweet was about the creditors agreeing to the package he's putting in place for Sampdoria that will allow him to take over the club. The second one was a Forza Sampdoria post. He gets a huge amount of heat immediately in the comments because he hasn't referenced leaving Leeds yet, and the takeover hasn't fully been finalized at Leeds yet. And then he puts this tweet out third. We had 3 years of exciting football with Marcelo and a historical moment for the club. LUFC, I am sorry it didn't end as I wanted, and I've disappointed you all. We did make mistakes. We paid the big price for it. I'm sure the club is in good hands and will have a bright future. Without saying goodbye. What should also be said is he's deleted this tweet now, and it is now a reply to a guy who had replied to his initial tweet, who had replied to him and basically said, you made a couple mistakes, but Godspeed, and, your legacy is great, and very positive message, which I don't agree with. Not fully. And then he's now reposted this as a reply to that tweet, and he's retweeted the dude. So if you want to see this tweet, it's not in Radrizzani's tweets, it's in his replies to tweets, which is he does strange things. He really does. I mean, I'm sure it's this person said something nice about me from Leeds, and now I'm replying to it, where actually it was him tweeting that first. So that's important. Alan, caught me live. Great. I'm glad you did. I'm just glad you found his phone, here. Well, it's probably beside the bottle of wine, mate, that he leaves. Allegedly. What are we doing here? Bye-bye, Rads. From Mike. Goodbye. Max played midfield once. Okay, different conversation. Strange. Yes, it is. Rads did a lot for Leeds, but should have sold up after a 9-play finished. Agree, Clive. I want to get into that again. Didn't end up with 40 million. Ended up with something like 70 million, according to Phil Hay, in the end, when loans and debts now were taken out of it. We will look back at the future and call Calvin Phillips a legend and other present footballers. Definitely Hernandez for me. Absolutely. Good evening, Richo. Good evening. How are you? Didn't end. No, we didn't. We already covered that. 100%. Clive. We should get a friendly match against Sampdoria. Yeah, we should. Congratulations to Marcel Bielsa's debut. And if you didn't watch that game, go watch it and then have a small, quiet cry to yourself in a corner of a room, because some of the goals they scored were just beautiful. It's just great to see that football again. Probably still be there. Possibly. Radrizzani talks a good riddance. Very strange man. Yeah. Guy's gone. Done a lot of good for the club. Thanks, Rads. Peter took his eye off the ball. Yeah, we'll get to that. That's just not sure. Yeah, I think he is. What I will say about this is, I think it's important to put this in context and break his ownership down over time. It didn't go particularly well to start. He tried a couple of things with Christensen coming in and, just taking over from Chileno. It didn't go particularly well. Some of the signings Orta made weren't great at that time. There was a lot of pressure on Victor Orta to go at that time. Then Bielsa comes in and all of a sudden it clicks. The sacking of Gary Monk wasn't a great decision either. As a lot of people have issues with Gary Monk, but, had he been backed properly, there's a lot of people talking about managers being backed this week. Had he been backed properly in the right windows, he could have got us promoted. Did reasonably well for Leeds. Then they get it right with Bielsa. Then you've got Badgegate. If you look at the good and the bad, the good from Radrizzani is taking the club off of Chileno. I suppose kind of buying Elland Road. It's now back under Leeds ownership with the 49ers, whatever version that looks out. Bringing in Bielsa was a huge plus, and getting promoted to the Premier League and giving us 3 years of Premier League football. They're all pluses. They're all pluses. They're all good things that he has done for the club. However, the bad side of it are Myanmar, the badge, some of his early appointments, some of his later appointments, some of the signings that they made, sacking Bielsa, relegation, and I think giving Victor Orta too much room to do his own thing and to be whoever he wanted to be. And we saw the stuff in the just seeing something there. Catch me off guard there. Ireland won down to Greece. You're better off doing a stream, Jerry. I just can't watch that Irish team. I thought Monk jacked in for Borough managers. No, it wasn't the case. He wanted a 3-year deal. Leeds were only willing to give him a 1-year deal. He didn't want a 1-year deal. He wanted to build something longer. So it's not exactly. It's a lot of misinformation what happened with Gary Monk, and I probably don't have the full story either. But not the point. The point was he was doing reasonably well. We were 7th place in the league at that stage. You know, we could have pushed on. You look at the badge stuff was a bad look. It's a bad look. But he gets away with it because the Bielsa stuff happens. And then as soon as Bielsa goes, you start to realize that maybe a lot of the stuff that they were doing was down to Bielsa, like the refurbishments of Thorpe Arch, the improvements to the facilities in Thorpe Arch, the improvement to the pitches there, the running track, all the additions, the pool being put back in, players' hangout area, beds for sleeping in. Then Jesse comes in the summer and they take all that stuff out. Now, this is regardless whether the manager wanted it or not. This is where the club needs to stand up and an owner needs to step in and go, no, we want this stuff in place because we're building this style. We want this to carry on. That's the negative stuff. So my question is this, and you can let me know if you agree with me or disagree with this. Do you think over time, people's opinion on Radrizzani's time as Leeds owner will soften and change a bit? Because if you do look at it, he did get us back into the Premier League. You could also argue that he has left Leeds in a position where a new owner could take over and bring Leeds forward. And that, if the 49ers ends up being a positive move for us, then you could be looking back at, look what he's done, blah, blah, blah. Now, on this, Lee, 100% agree. 100% agree. I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm just pointing out the boat. As we tend to do on this channel, we'll try and keep it balanced. The Ellen Road stuff and leveraging Ellen Road looks like the final straw. Phyllis Hayes showing the square ball this week. I think they talked at length about it. Some of the things that they said about it was it didn't look like Radrizzani was going to leave. What's his name? The reporter, Ben Jacobs. Sorry, Ben. Ben Jacobs was on Leeds Ultras last night doing an interview, and he pretty much said the same thing, that it didn't look like Radrizzani was actually going to leave Leeds until the pressure came on after the Ellen Road stuff. So, do I think he's a great owner? No. Do I think he was better than Cellino? Yes. Do I think he was better than Bates? 100%. Do I think he was better than Riz as a leader of a club? Absolutely. Has he done a lot of things wrong? Huge amount of things wrong. And I think he surrounded himself with bad people who are yes men. I think that's the biggest mistake that he has made, and has led him down a lot of avenues that have made him look bad and caused him problems. You would hope that he learns from them, but you would hope the fact that the 49ers have been involved with Leeds now for a period of time under him, they'll identify all the mistakes that he made at Leeds, and we won't see a repeat of these problems again. And that's all you can ask for. You know, I have no issue with people making new mistakes. Just don't make the same mistakes repeatedly. Make new ones. New mistakes are okay. You know, if you can make none, great, but you know, that wouldn't be human if you did. Let's talk about the next story. So that's the Radrizzani. A lot of people, do we think, sorry, I struggled. Oh, that's with Gordon McQueen. Sorry. Yeah, I get that as well. That's the day that's in it. Let's just park that mark and just you know, wish our best to his family and everyone else. Clive, Cirrus. No, he made mistakes, trusted the wrong people. That's the big one for me. And then the end, use our stadium. Yeah, the end is not good. NCO, I think will people remember Bielsa? Yeah, they will. If we get back to the Premier League, it might be the longer we stay in the Championship, the worse we'll get. I agree with that as well. I think the change of badge would have been okay. Also, a normal badge says new badge on the back of the shirt. Yeah, there is the old peacock badge on the back of the new shirt. I like that badge. I am a fan of the peacock stuff. Ross thought he was bigger than the club. Yes. And that's a really good point, because I think this is what happened. I think his ego got in the way, and I think he got an ego over time. Like, you're very confident, very professional businessman. But again, I don't know if it's been advised by the wrong people behind the scenes. There needed to be someone, like I always say this to the lads I work with. Some companies need a common sense department where it's the most cynical person you can find sitting in a room, and you just bring them your proposals and you say to them, we're going to do this. And they look at it and go, are you mad? No, you're not doing that. That's ridiculous. And I just don't think Radrizzani had anyone around him that questioned him, or that if he came with an idea, or Victor Orta had an idea, they went, that won't land well. Probably better off not to do that. And that's why I think a lot of leaks came out of the club as well. So definitely there was an ego play there as well. I think it all depends on the success of the 49ers. I would agree with that. Yeah. Are Leeds still going to have to pay for our ground? That is a big question, Liam, and one we don't know the answer for. I know there was Phil Hay again today. It was 33 months of free rent when Radrizzani took over. Then it was 1.7 million a year. There is some budget in this year's budget apparently for rental of the stadium. It's a different asset. I suppose they can charge different companies. I'm sure there's a reason why it's not connected to the club, but I'd like to have that brought back. I'd like to have that brought back into club ownership. Leeds City is cash cow, one club city. Yep, I agree with that. I wanted the ER stuff. That's okay. We'll move past that then. Victor Les Rads astray. I think there was a part to be played in it, but I think he also liked it. England are 2 up. Well done, England. Good for you guys. I'd have accepted and moved past the badge. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that did wrong. I'd still like a new badge. This one. It's fine. It's fine. But I would like to see return to the kind of more classical stuff. I like the LUFC. I'd like to retain that, and then maybe have some forward peacock brought back in to be nice. I think it'd be cool as well. And I do like the old LUFC as well. It's just a classic look. Right, second story. Let's get to this. I don't have any screens to show you on this one, but Patrick Bamford. And I should just say before we get into this, huge pinch of salt with this, because this came out from 2 blog sites that posted this. It's a bit of a story on the Last Word on Football news site, which is not a big news site. So take this with a pinch of salt. But apparently, according to sources close to the Last Word on Leeds, they said that Patrick Bamford has made his desire to leave Leeds known earlier this season. Apparently, after the World Cup, there was a social event where an argument happened, and Patrick Bamford apparently made his feelings known on how the football club was being run, not very professionally. Probably agree with a lot of people would agree with that behind the scenes. A lot of people say Leeds is run like a League One club, not a Premier League club. And there's issues behind the scenes in departments there as well. So there's a lot of stuff. So you could agree with that statement. But he basically said that he will be looking to leave Leeds in the summer, regardless of what happened because of that. And because of what's gone on. Don't know what was said in the lead up to that argument. Don't know what was said during it. This is a source close to the Last Word on Football. Nobody else really picked it up. So I kind of looked at it during the week and thought, is it really a news story worth covering? Is there any possible direction that this can go? Is it like some of the transfer stories? I know they're probably out there, but you can go, yeah, but an agent's definitely said this to that person, and that's where that's come from. This is more, I don't know how I feel about it. What I would say is fair play to him for saying that things were wrong with the club. 100% the right thing to do. Glad that he did that. Secondly, may have put a nail in his own coffin with his future. It might have caused some of the issues that they have. So, yeah, there's that as well. Justin, thank you very much. I never said that tonight. So, yeah, there's 314 people. If you want to like it, you can. Press the like button if you'd like. You can. You don't have to. So that's the story there with that one. So, it's a weird one. Hasn't Bamford got options in Europe? Apparently, he does. Why on earth didn't multiple managers persist with him after that? Does his contract say he has to play? I think you think that the wrong way, Jay. I don't think this is a negative comment that he's made. Maybe the part about leaving the club, but that could be said in anger. You know, when you're in the middle of something like, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm out of here. You know, end of the season, I'm gone. But if it's a genuine argument where he has pulled up people in the club for how the club was being run and managed, I think maybe there's a bit of credit he deserved there as well. Might not have been said to the managers. Should never release shirt again. Like Bam Bam would face it broken. Yeah, too much on that one. You can also gently stroke or firmly poke the light point. Thanks, Clive. Jay, he was the best we had, and nobody. Yeah, that's what. Look, he was the best that we had. All we had. I remember the Peacock when we went into it around 81 year. With bad luck, then some would say it still is. One of the reasons Don changed Joe Peacock was supposedly it was unlucky. The ground was supposed to be been built on a burial ground or something. Or it was an Indian hoax, or somebody put a curse on it. I remember Chelino in his second year, because he was crazy, got a priest. If you Google that, Chelino and Ellen Rowe and the priest, there was a picture of a priest standing in the center circle on Leeds doing an exorcism on the stadium. That man ran our club. I think sure it's fair enough, but context is very important here. It's hugely important, Jay. Hugely important. And I might not have the right context either. So, 100% on that. But what I would say is, I think for Bamford's career, for his sake, for our sake and the fans and potential grief, I think there's a parting of the ways needed between Leeds and Bamford. What he's done for Leeds has been excellent. He had his best years as a striker here. He gave us his best, which we can thank him for. And I think over time, this season will be forgotten about with Bamford. And I think people remember what he's done for Leeds before. And, it's not always his fault. Leeds didn't buy number 9. He was left with the option. You could say he was essentially hung out to dry. He was put there and left there, and that was it. So there's bits to that as well. But can you give you the full context on the parachute payments and how that plays into 49ers plans? It's 100 million over 3 years, I think, and it's weighted into the first year. I think it's 50% the first year. Sorry, 70% the first year, 20% the second year, and the remainder the third year, or something like that. It gets smaller. Basically, if you're still in the championship by the third year, you're in trouble financially with the parachute payments. They won't help you with those players. And I'm assuming this is going to help with the budget plans. His money is going to come into the club to at least to function. His wages are still need to get paid. Up till this point, no one has left Leeds, so still need to pay wages. Go from South on for the club. Yeah, Jay. Too much has gone on. He was used to this season. Nobody would blame him for seeing the beauty. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's balance. That's a balanced response, Jay. That's exactly what it should be. It's like, yeah, you weren't great this year, but it didn't go well for you. Either you got a stack of abuse. We weren't happy with what you were doing. Both sides weren't happy. We move on. Colin, I would agree with that as well, mate. I would agree with that as well. Quite a few players do need to move on. Never number 9 ever. Was for 1 year, at least 1 year. But again, there was no fans in the stadiums for his 2 best years, so there's that as well as pressure. Besides the Gypsy P in the corner flags and a lift. And Jason, how you doing, mate? He's here too long time to move on. Yeah. The ownership has progressively got better. Yeah. And has progressively got better. And that is a fact. Chino had a few superstitions. Did he change number 17 seats? 13, I think he got rid of 13. Yeah, he did. Sorry, 17 of 17A. Color purple was unlucky. He retired the number 17 shirt because when Michael Brown was wearing that, we were like, God, of all the shirts you could retire, Michael Brown's. Anyway, that's the problem for me. I don't think we can start next season with Pat Bamford. I don't think the club moves forward in that situation. You've got a chance to do a reset here and rebuild, and whether that's going with the young players and playing someone like Joseph up front or Perkins, or bringing in somebody else, or going with Rutter, that remains to be seen. Bamford's a clever guy, seems to have strong opinions, but he should have kept his head. You don't know what went on behind the scenes there this year. I keep saying it. People talk about the Crystal Palace game in halftime, but I keep saying it. As far as just looking at it, something looks like it happened. I'm not saying it was at Palace. I'm just saying something looks like it happened. It just turned such a bad turn so quickly. Everyone from miserably hot Fort Worth, Texas. Well, hello, Renee. How are you doing? It is a wet, drizzly, but really humid day in Ireland. So, yeah, 44 million this year. Bet the Bamford haters were up his arse when he scored 17 and finished 9th season. I'll say this, Justin, and I always say this about criticizing players. It's based on form. I mean, anyone who's played the game will know when you're playing well, you take the credit and you deserve the credit. When you're doing badly, you also deserve the criticism and have to be able to take the criticism. And what I say is your praise or criticism is based on form. It's never personal. I wouldn't call people, not everyone. There are, obviously there's a few. Obviously there's always a couple of mouths. But I think for the most part, and I've criticized him, criticized Jack Harrison this year as well. It's not personal. It's just based on that game. Was he good? No. Was he good in this game? No. But there were several amount of games where he was poor. Yeah. He's had a bad season. That's black and white. People go too far sometimes. People cross lines. There's stuff that happened with his family, the text messages and phone calls. Shouldn't have happened. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Loads of great channels out there, by the way. Time to retire project, no goals, no fitness, no speed.com. Definitely lost a yard of space. Right, we'll move on from Paddy. Because there's tons of people with opinions on Paddy. Paddy Kenny had a birthday on 17. Was that the reason, Tom? If it is, that's great. All right. Second last story, financial fair play. And I think we have this floating around here somewhere. Sorry, I am going to share my screen with you because people are going to ask me for context on stuff. And I need to probably share my screen on a couple of bits and pieces just to make sure you know that there is context to this stuff. Right. So here we go again. Let's share the window. Press a button. Remove a button. Stop that screen. Share this screen. The stuff that goes on behind the scene. I need a moderator and an editor, I think. Both. There we go. Right. So just so you know, this is the article on Bamford. There it is there. Written by Joe Blackburn is the editor. And it basically talks about leadership group, terrible run results. Pat Bamford's outburst source close to the last word of football has discussed the fact that attended a social event with the White striker in December. Bamford has said to have spoken out against the club's management, with the side experiencing poor results immediately after the World Cup. Yeah, so that's where that's come from. That's that one. Do I have the financial fair play one up there? I do. This is the one I want to talk to you about as well. This is the latest on the financial fair play situation. So I'll give you the pitch notes on this as well. So the date has been set for as the 25th of October, as you can see there, for Everton's financial fair play hearing. Why does that matter to us? Just got to put this on screen because it's work. Microsoft training coming out there, mate. As a Microsoft trainer, there you go. They've set a date for the 25th of October. Why is this important to us anymore? Because Leeds have a legal case against Everton, along with a few. So under the Premier League rules, and it'll say it here, find the number. There we go here. Under the Premier League rules, clubs are permitted to lose 105 million over a 3-year period. Everton blamed COVID-19 for their losses, which I think were 430 million pounds there. That's the 5-year one. However, when it was reduced down, minus the COVID stuff, it still worked out. I have wrote down here at losses of 371 million. So 3 times the amount you are allowed to lose. Now, Everton say they've done nothing wrong. They say they're in full compliance with this. They reckon everything will be okay. They're going through a bit of a takeover at the moment as well. The output from this is basically that if it's Leeds, Southampton, Leicester, and Burnley are jointly suing Everton for a loss of earnings from being relegated to the Championship because of them not being punished for financial fair play, essentially. So if the ruling goes their way, the clubs plan to move forward with suing them, and they may have to pay upward of 100 million per club, which will cost them a lot of money, which would send them into having to sell players as well. So protests, they're not going through a great spell. They might avoid relegation this year and last year, but they have to be probably favourites to go down next year, I'd say. It might bypass them in the walkthrough. So there we go. That's that one. What do we think? FA typically looking after the big clubs this season's over. Everton charge, they've avoided them. Yeah, they have. Dan James scored Worlds, and that's the second one or the first one. Presumably Joseph would be. Yeah, that's from the Pat Bamford stuff. Agree, Terry, but there's a conversation happening. Sorry about this. If Raul Rodriguez, Real Madrid Casilla coach, linked with Leeds, he was linked with Leeds last summer. I'm gonna say this. I said this on the American Leeds podcast. I'm gonna say it now. I could be very wrong on this, but seeing how the Hammond situation was handled by Leeds, this name comes out of nowhere with no leaks from the club, which is new, and we love that. No leaks, nothing comes out. Job done, hired out of nowhere. Part of me thinks Leeds will hire a manager who we have not been linked with yet. There is nothing on it. I said this on Alex's podcast on American Leeds yesterday. I think I said it on Joe's last week as well. There's a bit of me that just thinks there's somebody else in the mix here and we don't know about, and it could be a surprise. Could it be Raul? He was linked before. He's on the list that they looked at. He's doing a good job at Castilla. You never know. You never know. Time for us, but Leicester City may have a case. I think us finishing second from bottom might rule us out of getting any money from that. Possibly. They could say that it impacted Leeds this season, and they could make a case for it. But moving Bamford on. I'd like to keep Rodrigo as well. Love the Friday night streams. Beat watching Incarnation. It's exciting house, mate. Pablo Hernandez type player now. UFC. Yeah. Great to have Pablo back at the club in some capacity. He's not a manager yet, but great to have him back at some capacity. They get away with it. They probably will. Sorry about that, Glenn. It was another transfer embargo. They should be getting points deduction as well. They should. It's in the rules. Kelly Armagh. How you doing, Kieran? How you doing, mate? Thank you. Appreciate that. Scooby, under Premier League rules, section class 3. You can do like you want. Just look the other way. Yeah, have everything got rinsed and points deducted? They should be. I don't get about Premier League have not brought up rather than the clubs. They are dealing with it. They've given it to a advisory commission. Now, if you look at the Championship, they don't do that. And they're much quicker with their decisions as well. Leeds have still been relegated. That's the issue. That is the issue. Get Thiago Maia, Flamengo, Pavon, or Pedrinho from Atletico Mineiro. Build from there. You never know. Right. Chris is here. Hello, Chris. How you doing, mate? Lee, I'm taking 3 points. Yep. Loads again. Sorry. Again, if I don't get your comments, I apologize. Tom Raul, has he been mentioned lately? Not lately. Not since last Christmas. Jer, can you get knowledge from New England County as CT into football. Dan, I don't understand what that means. Can you get knowledge from New England County as CT into football? Explain that to me, Dan. I'll read that again. Explain that to me. Anthony Jamaica Leeds away game at Plymouth. There's the incentive. Probably not me. Probably not. I am going to plan on getting to a lot more games this year. So, now knowing that the tickets will be available and I can get them. Right. So, last story. Golfers coming to Leeds. How do we feel about this? Because again, context. Connecticut. I thought it was Connecticut then, but what are you asking me exactly? Because you're saying, can I get knowledge from New England County as Connecticut? Are you trying to tell me that New England County, Connecticut, is football country? Is that what you're trying to tell me? More detail needed, Dan. More detail needed. Right. So, last one. Golfers. So the Mail this week and Ricky Fowler himself doing an interview with Sky Sports pretty much said that himself, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas were looking to invest in Leeds. Great. Dan, that's exactly it. No problem. Let me do this properly then, Dan. Let me do this properly. Here we go. Also Dave Mills. Is Hamilton placed yet? Yes, he is. I've lost your message now, Dan. A lot of messages. Yes, Connecticut. New England. No, not New England. I said New England. Why did I say New England? Am I wrong? I was right. Yes. New England, Connecticut is soccer country or football country. There you go, Dan. I made a balls of that. I know I did. Sorry, mate. Right. So, and I apologize for anyone who just walked into that because that doesn't make any sense out of context. There you go. Right. So 3 golfers looking to invest in Leeds. How's this going to work? Apparently, there are several tiers in this. Not apparently. There are several tiers in the 49ers investment pool. There are some tiers that have impact, which are the 11 people that are at the top. The other directors that will come off of that. They'll make decisions. Then there are the lower tiers. So Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. Put them into context. Let's talk about money here. They are not currently invested in Leeds, but they are looking to join Leeds, possibly in the lower tiers. Okay? But they're worth a few quid here, these lads. Ricky Fowler, who is a former world number 4, I think the highest he got to, is estimated to be worth about 40 million, one of the current best players in the world in golf at the moment. Justin Thomas is worth $60 million and 2-time major winner and 10th in the all-time earnings ranking. And Jordan Spieth probably did pick it a bunch, 120 million net worth, 3-time major winner and 7th in the record all-time earners. Golfers have lots of cash to invest and not enough to be able to make the decisions. Great show. This is stuck. There we go. A Golfers Legion of Sports. Am I wrong in saying one of these 3 has a good caddy who's a Leeds fan? It's possibly Ricky Fowler's caddy. Possibly. If anyone knows, let me know. But that he wore a Leeds jersey under his caddy gear before one of his majors. Can't be bad for Leeds. Golf is a global sport. Yeah. Get Alioski back. Yeah. Miss him. They're not fans, but one of their caddy. That's the one. Let's see. Who is it? Which one? I hope they don't invest in the top 11. I don't think they have the money to invest in the top 11. That's major money. I appreciate your work. Who would you suggest? A well-known league manager like Farker or new face like Rodriguez? You could go right. I want Corberan. I'm okay with that because I'm looking at the likes of Gallardo and Areola as being, managers not going to get at this stage. Rogers was one I would have liked as well. Knutson's been mentioned. I wouldn't mind a sneaky little approach from Michael Carrick. I know there's Manchester United connections there, but I think he's a very good coach. What else have we got? The Football League have their way. We'll start with 15. Just for coming back, I reckon we'll just get a 15-point deduction just for welcome back to the EFL. Just, given to us by Don Goodman. One of the top caddies, PJ Tour, Billy Foster is a huge Leeds. Yeah. Can't wait for the new celebrity skyline from these people, the shipping container. That's what the 6,000 mid-tier executive boxes are going to be in the New Look Stadium when Ellen Rowe gets his revamp. Fowler wants to invest in the club. It's good. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Tommy, yeah. He's a caddy. Got that. We got the caddy stuff. Investment group is still just an investment group. Exactly. It's just a pile of cash. Fitzpatrick's caddy is a Leeds fan. It's Fitzpatrick. Okay. People are saying Leeds need a manager to get them promoted and everything can be sorted afterwards. I disagree. Leeds need a win. And this is hard to start to play out now. I'm with you on that one. I'd like to see Leeds have a long-term plan. Probably Trump's pal. I don't think it is. We're all lucky. We're lucky there. I made asked some questions of American people that I know about what Washington female politicians might be involved in this, because apparently there's a female Washington politician involved somewhere in one of the tiers. Fitzpatrick, that's the one. Yeah. His name was Billy or something like that. As long as they don't start calling it a franchise, you got to excuse this. If they're American, they're going to use the term franchise, because all American sports are franchises, not teams. It'll take them time to change the vernacular to football and soccer or whatever version they want to get to. But I wouldn't hold it against them to use the word franchise. I go to America, I say footpath. I don't say sidewalk, And they look at me like they've got two heads. So different countries, different lingo. We know what they mean. Patrick Kelly's massive Leeds fan. Yeah, it's Patrick. But it's only 2 Corbin and Frank. I don't think it is. That's the point I'm making. Hammond wasn't on any of the names that were leaked out of the club as a potential director of football. Burrs was the guy that had been at Spurs, but then he got sacked. Christian Purslow as a joint CEO / director, sporting director role was linked. And then Weber. No one mentioned Hammond. And things are quiet in the ground. There's nothing being leaked out right now. And I think, and as I said, I'm probably wrong. But if I'm right, clip this bit. We're definitely getting a manager who's not on that list. No, I'm joking. I think there's somebody else. Diego Flores. Yes, I did see Diego Flores linked. I think it's a massive outside one. It was more linked because of betting odds than anything else. But yeah, Diego Flores would be nice as well. If I didn't play Gots Park Golf County, there's plenty of good golf courses there and loads here as well, because I've rode a cup course here in a couple of years' time. So personally, Wrexham stuff. But yeah, I'd say they're all fancy a bit, and that's not a bad thing. Look what they've done with Wrexham. Look at the exposure that club has got. I know a lot of fans, Leeds don't want the outside fans, but Leeds are a global brand and have been for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. Carrick won't get us promoted. I disagree, but that's okay, because we don't know, really. He hasn't a full season with money. A lot of this comes down to the same argument. This is what I said last week. There's people making an argument for Farke, saying Farke will do well for Leeds. He was never back in the Premier League. And then there's people arguing the exact same thing against Carl Corban. He's never won anything. It's like, yeah, but he was never backed. He never had the money in the Championship to get promoted. He's been with 2 teams that had no money when he went there. So Carrick's slightly the same. Middlesbrough were a mess when he went there. And he turned them down first before he took it the second time. Did a great job getting them where he got them. But we don't know. We just don't know. There's only so many managers that can get promoted every year. Doesn't make the rest of them bad. McIlroy want to invest. I don't like Moira. I know he's Irish, but I don't like my Rory McIlroy. Nothing personal, just yeah. Are you buying the best in the Championship? Hammer, Akpom, Archer, Manning, and best defenders are available, and some of them are available for nothing, which would be good. Michael Carter is like saying John Dal Thomas and both good players in their day. Relatively successful managers. So this is what I keep saying. What achievement in management isn't always trophies, because only so many managers can win trophies every year. Achievement can be taking a team that are playing badly and make them a better team. Then if you get a situation where you can give that manager money, then maybe they can progress it again. So it's kind of relative to what you view as success in terms of where the team are when you take them over. Had to laugh today. Saw the Uruguay game at far post knocks backs. That was the one. I was like, I've seen that goal 60 times for Leeds. It was great. Anyway, we're going to fly through this. There's loads of stuff. But if I haven't got your comments, I'm apologizing for that. Mark Potter's been quiet. He has, and he's gone down to 3-1 on the betting as well. So he's sneaking up there as well. But just bear in mind with the betting, someone with a few quid's gone out and thrown 100 quid on Graham Potter. All of a sudden, his odds just drop. Nobody else is putting any money on Leeds managers right now. His odds radically changed. So, there's nothing wrong with Rory. Nothing personal with Rory. I'm just not a fan. There was a lot of stuff that happened with the Olympics and whether Rory was going to play for the Irish team or play for Great Britain, and that's never a good argument to get involved in. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Rory's. And I think I'm okay. I don't have to support all Irish people. I don't like Bono either. And I think Conor McGregor's a tool. So, they're all Irish. Most Irish people don't like Bono, though. Is Angus making the decision for the 49ers? He is, yes. So Angus is CEO. Angus will be making the decisions, and he's the one that's putting together the list, but a final sign-off will be from the directors who are there. So, and also Hammond will be involved in the process as well. Reg Vardy from... Very good. I'd like to see some more surprises, like if you probably have a new face manager and players, same as before. Yes, I think that will happen. Mark Thomas, would you take Bielsa back now? Honestly, yeah. Not going to happen, but the answer is always yes. The answer is never going to be anything other than yes. Chris Hughton should be considered. Great call. But again, this is what time can do and change narratives of managers. Did really well at Newcastle. Again, under the situation Newcastle were in at that time. Did really well at Brighton. Really, really well. Great job. You did a fantastic job there. Then he's out of football for a little bit. I think he did Norwich for a while. That didn't go particularly well, but Norwich isn't a particularly well-run club. And then he goes to Ghana, I think, and that wasn't a great idea. And I think he's just taking some jobs to keep himself busy. But I think his stock has fallen because of that. Because 3-4 years ago, if you'd say Chris Hughton as a manager for Leeds, you'd be like, yeah, absolutely, he'll get you promoted and you'll play nice football. But yeah, cheers up. Mark Thomas, Brentford pay 20 for Schroeder and pay almost double for Roder. Yeah, he made massive mistakes. That's the mistakes. He made huge ones. I'd like to see the back of Kinnear, to be honest. I'm okay with it for the moment, Glenn, because I think you need to have some continuity there, and he's in a CEO role. And again, I also feel like he was maybe put in a position he shouldn't have been put in. Like, in what club do you see CEOs writing program notes? It's usually the manager or the captain or the owner or the chairman or owner of the club and the manager who did the program notes. I think Angus did a couple when it was going well and put a few comedic lines in there. People thought they were funny. And then when things started to turn, people thought they were less and less funny, and he put himself in a position where people like me and other people have referred to him as gaslighting the fans. Again, I think just under a more professional environment, maybe he can do better. But I would say long term, you want to be looking at a replacement. Glenn, I would agree with that part. With Nick Hammond in the Leeds building, is there any connections with any Newcastle players coming to Leeds on loan? I wouldn't imagine so. He wasn't there for a long time, and according to Phil, he wasn't massively involved in the transfer dealings at the back end of it, but he was part of the putting together the short list of players and doing the due diligence on the players that they fit. So did a great job on that. Andy, my Irish mate bumped into Bono a few times over a couple of days. No idea who Bono was and accused of being a stalker. That's great. Hoping Potter is the one, fingers crossed. Yeah, but you gotta be patient with Potter though when he comes in. If it is Potter, it's gonna take a while. It did at Brighton, didn't get time with Chelsea. So, what about Rafa? Yes, is yes. Another yes answer for Rafa. But Rafa said last year he wanted a Premier League job in a team that was challenging for Europe. So I don't think we're on this list. But then, as I said during the week, a big bag of money can change things. Norwich never spent big, have they? Never massively. I think the first season the Premier League they gave him Farke 60 to 68 million or something like that, and obviously wasn't spent particularly well. Mark Robbins doing a great job at Coventry. Yes, and does a great job most clubs he goes to. But again, there's that question of can he do it at the bigger teams? You never know unless you give it to him. If we keep Adamson is there and Rudder up front, we can come first. The jury for me is out on Rudder. I'm not in this bracket of saying yes, he's the guy, because we don't know. We really don't. He's got like 8 goals in his career before he joined Leeds. He joined Leeds from Hoffenheim, where he played as a winger for Hoffenheim, not as a striker. So there's that problem that he has as well. So yes, I want to see him stay. Yes, I want to see him give him more of a chance next year, Gary, but I'm not 100% sure if he is everything we think he might be. Hope that he is. I think Matteo Joseph could be a step ahead of him, for being honest. Please can you say hi to Jill in Spain, an 81-year-old Leeds fan? She's watching. Oh, well, there you go. Hi, Jill. How are you? That's brilliant. Fair play to Jill. Visa rule changes could work in our favor. Yes, 4 players from outside of the normal points system for non-UK based, non-UK nationals. It's complicated. Can now be signed where they couldn't be before. Norwich promoted champions in Bielsa's first season. Leeds Sky Sports did a special feature on Weber, in which he said Norwich have contingency plans in place for staying up or relegation, which they did, because they went down and came back up again, didn't they? No, they went down and stayed down. As true that Potter bought a penthouse in Leeds, I don't know. Why would you? No manager should ever buy a penthouse anywhere. They usually rent hotel rooms. Chris should have got the Ireland job. I agree with that. Recruitment just sucked. It has. So you're getting frustrated with these pointless Bielsa questions. I know. But that's the whole point of this stream, mate. We're just having a chat. Robles and Melee in goal, if they're both were there. Robles right now. I want to see Kinnear function in a better place. Right, we're going to wrap this up. There's so many people here. There is a super chat, so I've got to acknowledge that. We'll do it, Dan. Loving your first stream tonight. Appreciate that, Dan. Thank you. Look, massive thanks, as always, to everyone getting involved. So, yeah, it's been a mad week. And as I said at the start of this, if you're not into the whole live stream chatting with chat, I like to talk to chat. You've made the effort to be here tonight. If you type something in chat, I'll try and get to it. I don't get to all of them because there's 460 of you here, and that's quite difficult to get to. So I'll get to as many as I can. One last one. 2 last ones. Rush get a chance at wide. Agree with that. And there was another one here that I wanted to just throw up real quick. Nuno hasn't been mentioned. Surprised he hasn't been, I'm being honest. He's out of work, I think, at the moment as well. Yeah, so that's going to be the style going forward. We're going to do the daily news. So Monday to Friday, standard morning news. That will be done. That's not going to change. Never going to go anywhere. It'll always be here. Always be available, right? And then Friday, assuming there's stuff that just got on over the week that we just haven't got to, that small little minor stories in bigger story weeks, like what would have normally been the news during the regular season when there's no transfer window. When the window's open, there's a lot going on. Bigger stories come out. So stuff we missed there, we'll put into the live stream on the Friday and we'll talk about it here, because it's, as I said, the Bamford stuff, massive pinch of salt. The Everton stuff kind of relates to us, but kind of might not. Golfers coming in, they haven't come in yet. They might, but they haven't yet. So it's not like they're guaranteed. Sorry. And Radrizzani saying goodbye is probably the only one that's probably worth any kind of meat on the bone. So that's the story there. So that's the crack. That's what's this week. That's been this week's news. That's all been this week's news. And I'm going to wrap up now. We're 45 minutes into this. But again, as always, a massive thanks for everyone who's joined in. If you want to like and share and subscribe and all that stuff, you can. Today's daily news video is on the channel from today. You can check that out if you want to. Tom, thank you. And that's nuts, but thank you very much for that. I will have a point on you. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. Go straight into the channel. Right. So that's going to be it. I'm going to get out of here. I pressed the button again. Sorry. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going downstairs and spend some time with my partner. So have a great weekend. Nothing's going to happen over the weekend as far as I'm aware. Manager interviews take place early next week. And then they're expecting an announcement for the manager shortly after those interviews take place. So hopefully next week we have a manager in place and then we can start moving forward. That's going to be it. Thank you very much. As always, as I always say, really appreciate everyone getting involved. Have a fantastic week. And yeah, I'll see you Monday for probably, I'm stalling here because I'm looking for a button. I'll see you next week for more Leeds news. Have a great weekend. Bye.